guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm colouring up this beautiful image, Fire Dragon, from the Mythomorphia book. Let's pop in and have a look. So guys, I've printed this one on A3 paper. I wanted to do it quite large, so it is quite large there. Now, I'm just showing you there that I'm still wearing my Lux watch, still going strong, and I'm still loving it. So if you're interested in having a look at that website, check out my description below. So this book is Mythomorphia by, I think it's Kerby Rosanes. It's an absolutely beautiful book, and I liked this dragon one, and there's also a challenge on Instagram called Dragonary, so I've decided to enter that, and I thought I'd let you guys check out the video as I go. So I'm colouring in this one a little bit differently to my normal style. I'm going to call it rough style. I'm calling it rough style, and also I'm using a limited palette as well, so I'm not using a whole heap of colours. I'm trying to stick to sort of similar colours, and I'm wanting to sort of go a little bit complementary there with the colours that I'm using. So hopefully you guys like it, and yeah, you get something out of it, and you can see that you don't have to be really neat and tidy to get a beautiful image, and it can be really quite quick. So this was actually really quick considering it's an A3 size. It only took me 2 hours to finish the image in total. So yeah, it's pretty good. So it's at double speed, which normally I think the videos are either double or triple speed, but this one I only needed to do double because it was a little bit shorter. So let's just pop in and follow along. So most of the colors I've tried to put up on the caps up on the screen, but sometimes obviously you can't see them, or I take them off because I need to move the page. I do apologize. I did really try to get all of it in, but being such a large image, the camera is quite low down to my work, so sometimes it does cut off some of the areas that I was coloring, but you'll still be able to get the idea once I turn the page and things like that. So hopefully you enjoy it. So I'm using B39 at the moment. I've got some blue colors, but you'll notice the dragon's actually green, so you'll see how I do that as we come along and add more colors in. So just doing a rough layer of this color all around all of the shadow areas. So I'm going around the dragon's scales at the moment, putting in some of this around those areas to sort of create a little bit of depth underneath each of those scales there. So I'm going to finish off this color here. So I'm swapping over in a moment to black. Now the reason I've decided to add some blacking is because I really wanted a little bit more depth in those shadow areas. So adding the black to it will create more depth and bring the lighter parts more forward. So I'm going to go ahead and swap over to black in a moment. Just swapping back over to the B39 again, just to come in and add some more shadows down further. I'm just going to alternate between these colours until I get the look that I'm looking for. So I just wanted to mention here that my markers are actually running out. So you can see that the colour's really lightening up as I come further out onto that white area. It's because the marker ink is running out and it's really quite thin, so when I'm flicking that marker out, it's covering only a small layer of white, which brings it and makes it look a little bit brighter. So I'm going to come back in a moment because this one just is far too gone with the B37 and keep going over this. So I've just swapped out the marker for B37 and I'm coming out over the top of the previous colour. Now you can see each time I use a colour I extend it further into the wider parts of, I'm talking about the front of the scales here. You can see that I'm coming down a little bit further each time I swap over colours. So we want to try and do that all over the areas. So we're going from darkest to lightest, so we're starting in those shadow areas, and as we bring those colours out and change them over, we want to bring and extend that colour further out towards the highlighted areas. So the next lightest color I'm using is B05. Now I'm going to leave a gap on each parts that I've been coloring in because I want to do the edge tips of them red, so he's got that glow, fiery glow to him. So I'm going to make sure that I do leave a gap for that area, which you can see now I'm leaving that as white. So I'm just going over the top of the previous colors and extending this further out. I'm just repeating those steps, starting from the black this time because I wanted that darker look. So starting with the black, moving out to the lighter blues again, and I have filled up my markers too, so they'll be a little bit easier to colour with. So just finishing off the last of the blue now. So I've left quite a little bit of area not done so that I can come back in with red and fill that in. So the first red color I'm going to use is R59, and I'm going to kind of go into sections of the wings where it is a little bit darker, so you can see that the lines that are already drawn in there have a little bit of grayscale sort of in them, so we can go off that to where the shadow areas might be. So I'm going to do that first, and just coming in and marking out some of these areas. So that was R59, and finishing off these parts now. So I'm still using that R59, and wouldn't you know it, this one's running out as well. All filled up now and ready to go for the next one, but it seems to happen every time I start a picture. Anyhow, let's move on. So I'm just kind of flicking that colour out in towards the tail area. Now some of these areas underneath the tail there may have been part of rock, but I've just added it on there. I'm not really fussed about those sort of background details there because it's fire. Fire's going to extend further out onto other things anyway. So now that I've finished with that dark colour, I'm now coming in with that R46, which is a little bit of a lighter red, although it is on the darker side, but it's a little bit lighter than the R59. And I'm just coming in and extending those parts that I've already done out. So I'm going over the top of the previous colour and coming up and out a little bit further now. So I'm still going to make sure that I try to leave little areas of white because we're going to be filling in other colours in there as well. So now for the fire section on the wings here, I'm doing YR07. So I'm just coming over the top of the previous colour and I'm extending this further into the wider areas that I had left. Now this is going to go on a fair bit of the dragon, so I'm going to put it on all areas around the red fire areas. And then we're going to come in with another colour. So I could have probably left it at the red and blue look, but I really wanted to add in the complementary colour to red, and I wanted a bit of green in there. So what I actually do is go over that with a yellow to create that green effect. So if you have a look at the finished image, you can see that there's a lot of colours through there. There's a little bit of purple and green and a little bit of yellow and red and orange, so all in mixed together and giving it a really nice effect. Still being quite rough here. I'm not sort of worried about going out the lines because it is fire. It's going to be out of the lines anyway. So this is where the interesting stuff starts to happen. I've brought in Y08 and I'm going over the top of the previous colors and extending them all over. So I'm actually covering everything here. I'm going to go over the red, the blue, the orange, everything, and I'm going to try to create some nice blends and different colors through the whole dragon. So have a look at how amazing that blue looks with the yellow over the top. It goes a really pretty green. Now, I probably could have just used green, but I really like the way this affects the image because I'm creating lots of different shades that I may not be able to get in an individual marker now by using the yellow over the top of everything. So you can see now the wings starting to turn green, all of the sort of edges that I have already done over with the yellow are already green, but they'll be different colored greens because I've used different tones of blue through there. So we're going to get a lot of different variations, which is really great. And I love just how it looks, and we can be as messy as we want without sort of worrying about going out of the lines and things like that. It's just a really free style of using markers. So you can see that I've extended this Y08 over all of the fire areas that are left as well. So even on the rock that he's standing on, there's a couple of fire bursts under there. So I've made sure I've put that on there as well. So you can see it just looks great. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of lighter red. So I've got some R14 just to sort of, you can see there on the left where the fire's coming out of his mouth there, it's a little bit yellow. So I just want to add or blend that out a little bit. So using or coming into doing the detail side of it, if you find that it needs a little bit more in it, you'll need to do that as well. So I'm just coming in now and just sort of adjusting it, neatening it up a little bit on those rougher edges of that red, because it was quite dark. The yellow wasn't enough to sort of bleed that out a bit, so I've just gone over those areas. Kind of to me it looks like I'm fluffing the edges, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm just sort of being quite rough, but I'm being gentle on that color and sort of spreading it out so it's nice and soft within the flames. So I'm almost finished here. I'm going over some of the scale areas and the body as well, just to sort of neaten them up and also put a little bit more depth through there as well. So you can see that it's already starting to sort of come alive and look completely different to when I first started with the blue, and I'm really enjoying coloring this as I was going and getting that different style and look out. So I guess I was trying to show you guys that you don't have to be very neat and in the lines, and that you can really be quite rough and get a really beautiful image out of it. So I'm going to bring in a lighter yellow. I've got Y04, and I'm going over the top of some of these areas to lighten them up a little bit. I did find that once I started putting in my white, which I actually don't put on video, but before taking my last final picture, I did actually put a little bit more shadow behind the head and the wing there, so that the head would sort of come off the page a little bit more. So once you do finish an image, it is good to sort of have a good look at it. I actually like to step back and have a look at a photo of it, so that I can see where there's any areas that don't actually stand out that need to be standing out, and I can adjust those as I go. So I did put in a little bit more grey behind the head to make that come off that wing a little bit more, so that we could see it. So I've just brought in the YR07 again. I'm just doing inside the flames here. So just below where I'm colouring there's a little comb, and there's also the card at the top there, the playing card that I'm using now. I'm just getting rid of some of the red that had smudged into that now with the colourless blender. But he hides little pictures. It's like a seek and find book, so when you're colouring you can see that there's some things in the picture that aren't meant to be there. So yeah, there was a card and also the little comb there on top of the mountain, which were slightly different to the rest of the image. So I've just sort of played with that card a little bit to clean it up a bit. I'm using some W9 now to go into all of the shadow areas on the rocks. Now as I said previously, when I started to do the darker color in the wings, some of it is already grayscaled out for you, so I just followed those lines. Now that meant that I could be a little bit rougher, and it didn't really matter too much. I didn't have to follow any particular lines, and I could sort of spread it out a little bit, but it helped me to decide where I was going to put those shadow areas, which is good for you guys because it's already marked out there for you. So sometimes I like images like that sort of help you with the shadow and the shading sort of part of it, as long as it's not too much, unless it is obviously a grayscale picture that I'm actually doing. So just coming over those areas now with the W9, I'm going to blend them out a little bit with W7 and some W5. Actually, no, yes, and I'm going to use some E74 as well, so we can sort of have a little bit of brown through there too. So I've almost finished with that W9 now. I just noticed too that I went over a part of flame on the rock, which I didn't see because it's upside down. I couldn't see that it was a flame until I turned it back around the other way. So I just do go over that with a little bit of orange and yellow later on at the end when I do notice that. So you obviously won't do that because you know now that I did it. So I'm coming in now in W7 to go over the top of the W9, extending this nearly all the way out over those areas. So now I've done that, I'm going to use the E74 to go over the remaining areas. So I'm just going over everything here and just filling in the rest of the colour. So I did not tell the truth before. I didn't actually use W5. I've used E74 instead. So what that's doing is bringing a little bit more brown into the mix so that it's sort of goes well with the dragon as well. So just coming over everything now with that one. So you can really see that I did miss a bit of flame there in that middle section, but I'll grab that and fix that up later. So we're actually almost finished. We're not going to do a lot with the background. I'm just going to put some more yellow in to give it a really sort of glowing effect. So now I'm going to put some more yellow in. I actually do add a little bit more in after I finish as well, just to sort of put a little bit more of the glow on the rock, but I'm using Y08 and I'm just sort of extending this color out now onto the rock so that the glow is actually shimmering on the rock as well. So what I actually do in the end is I actually go around on all of the highlighted sections of the rock and put a little bit of this on at the end, which I actually didn't video, but you can see that in the finished piece that I have done that. So just to add a little bit more glow on there and make that effect really pretty. So I'm going to use the E08 around all of the edges and extend the picture a little bit further out, and then we're going to come out and blend that out again. So you can see I've extended everything all the way around now. I'm going to blend it out with some Y04 now. So coming a little bit further out, we're just sort of increasing that glowing area. I'm going to use some Y00 now and go a little bit further out. So we've extended that out more and sort of softened off those edges a little bit more. I've also got some Y000 and I'm going to do the same thing. So not a lot of the Y000, mainly for that middle section there. But yeah, just extending this a little bit further out. Also, I ran out of this color that I'm using right now, which was the Y00 as well. So we did well this video. I ran out of two blue colors, a yellow, Yeah, it was fun. Anyway, I'm going to finish off now by just blending out the rest of it with that Y000. Just going to put a little bit of shadow on the card at the top there, which I'm using some C0. I'm also going to put this in the comb as well. It'll be silver. So I'm just filling that out now. I've got my white gel pen, which actually ran out. Oh, there you go. I forgot another one that ran out. So I'm just going to go and do all of the highlight sections. So I didn't actually video the final part where I adjusted the shadow behind the head, and I also adjusted the yellow on the rocks down the bottom. So I did do that after I finished this. So sometimes I finish recording and then realize that I had to add something else in. And yeah, this is the end of the video now. So I'm just adding these highlights in as like shine off the wings or off the flames and things like that. I'm not worried about, you know, you can see that I'm not marking them out really carefully. I'm just kind of going, okay, well, this will kind of be shiny here and I want a bit of shine there, and this will make it stand out here. So that's all I'm doing on the white parts there now. So if there's any questions that you have, please don't hesitate to ask. I really love this picture. I just want to thank Kerby Rosanes, if that's how you say his name, for these beautiful images from Mythomorphia. I will put the link for the book in the description below as well, so if you want that, it'll be in the description. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can contact me via Facebook, Instagram, and also Patreon. If you would like to check out the Patreon exclusive videos, the link will be in the description as well. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because you'll get notifications when I upload new videos. So guys, thanks so much for watching.